So, welcome everyone in our trains and suggestions. Those who are watching live and will be watching this as a video, or it is going to be published in the book. So, all the things are available now in podcasts, in books, and in the way you can directly interact. So, today we have a special, my mentor, and he is also my guest today. So, his name is Rahul George, who is India's premier iHypnosys coach and founder of iHNLP coaching academy. So I will be handing over to him to understand is what is your purpose and the mission behind starting this project, the iHNLP practitioner program.
Hmm. Okay, so first things first, thank you, Devasmita, for inviting me as your guest. And I'll start with the question that you asked, which is what's the purpose behind starting this, as you called it, the project, which is the iHNLP practitioner uh, program. And then, of course, as you said, today we are in that process of building out the iHNLP coaching academy, right? So as the name suggests, there are two aspects to the name iHNLP. One is hypnosis, and the other part is NLP or neuro linguistic programming. So the reason why I started the iHNLP practitioner program is just a little bit of background for your listeners, people who are tuning in, and especially if you've never met before. I've been on this journey now for close to 20 years. And my background began in counseling, but of course, as as fate would have it, or as it was meant to be, I discovered NLP or neuro linguistic programming way back since 2007. And so now, what's it been about in this context since the last 17 plus years? I've been um, building this skill of not only learning and applying NLP or neuro linguistic programming, but along the way, I've also dived deeper to discover the power of hypnosis. So, in my experiments, in my application of both hypnosis as well as NLP, um, in the early days, a lot of the focus was on the corporate India, if you want to call it that, basically working with employees, working with management, and I would say at least for the first 10 years or so, give or take, that was the focus where I would use the skills, the methods, methodologies that are embedded in NLP and hypnosis in working with employees. And over a period of time, I realized that for me, I really wanted to work with people one on one. And obviously, there are certain constraints when you work within the, let's say, the framework of a company. So, as time has progressed over the last 17 plus years, I have been able to draw out the simplest ways to be able to practice both hypnosis as well as NLP. And so today, as we are at this point of recording this in 2024, today what I'm offering people is the like literally the best of hypnosis and NLP. And this is, of course, whether you are somebody who's a coach, whether you're somebody who's an employee, maybe even a homemaker, but in essence, you're somebody who is driven by healing, who's driven by, wanting to help. I mean, today we call it coaching, but in essence, it's like you want to help people. So these are the people that I primarily work with. And my intention is to teach them these skills so that they can not only make a difference in their own life, but also in the lives of others. And, like I said, today we're at a point where there is a practitioner program. So whether somebody wants to learn in a 90-day format, or our level one is a 30-day format, and pretty soon we will be also launching a smaller format, a shorter format, so that people can at least get acquainted with learning certain skills that they can apply in their lives. So that in essence is what has driven the formation and uh, the growth of the iHNLP practitioner program. And of course, as a result of that, the iHNLP coaching academy.
Yeah, thank you so much, Rahul. But since the thing is why this iHNLP practitioner program I am focusing on, because this program which we are
Mm-hmm.
talking about is on the cancer awareness.
Mm,
Okay, today I'm extremely since you are asking me what is happening within me for few days. The truth
mm,
is, 12-year-old child, okay, she's fighting with blood cancer. This is
mm,
again it happened. Okay,
mm,
first it has this is what the questions I will be coming with: reoccurrence of the cancer, blood cancer,
mm,
and
mm,
this child is 12 years. The
mm,
chemo is particularly, they are restricted for particular chemos, but she is going over the chemo. And the chemos, we all know how much painful it is. The child
mm,
is crying, and the chemo, which is now the advanced chemo, okay, this is not given to the child. The first time she is going under that chemo today. Okay,
mm,
she is still fighting with her life. If she comes up, then it's a victory. Like this way,
mm,
the doctors are doing this type of diagnosis with her. But
mm,
I know she is powerful girl. She can survive. So this is what is happening. Now let's come to the questions, because it is related, because we have already taken two powerful interviews of Dr. Swati, who was suffering herself from different immunity problem. Okay,
mm,
but she showed up. She has given her great insight about this, that being cancer, how means on that project. And another is Swarna Lekha. She also spoke about cancer, how to protect from them. But today it is you, NLP and hypnosis, how you have helped my father to
mm,
miss twice in this case. So I want to know about that. Before this, let's come to the questions. First question is, how can NLP and hypnosis be used together to empower cancer patients on
mm,
their journey? Means while they are just journey of healing, because this is basically happens, right? People lose their hope that okay, it's cancer, I may die,
mm.
but how it is helping them? Yeah, over to
Right.
you.
So I'll answer your question in two forms. Uh, One is definitely to do with mindset. There is more and more evidence, there is more and more research, and there are more and more resources today that are available for people who are diagnosed with cancer, or even for people who are already undergoing a cancer treatment, or it could even be post recovery. Right? These are the three typical spaces when people talk about dealing with cancer. So in a nutshell, I would say it's all about mindset, and therefore, what is it that you do to to change the way you think. This is, of course, from the moment of receiving the news to saying, okay, this is assuming that it is curable, that whatever the, let's say, the treatment that has been offered to the cancer patient, a lot of the recovery is definitely linked to mindset. So I know for a fact, and I can also answer the second part of this, which is I've seen it firsthand, that mindset is a large part of being able to deal with the cancer treatment. And let's say somebody's treatment is successful and that they are post treatment they are cancer free. A lot of their longevity, a lot of their success in continuing to live on beyond the disease is definitely to do with their mindset. And I've seen this since 2018. That was when my wife was diagnosed with breast cancer. And from the diagnosis to uh, the treatment to the post treatment, and we are now talking 5, almost 6 years later. One thing I can definitely say, and I've seen this in her, and so there are two things, right? One is for people who are going through it. The other is when we talk what we talk about as caregivers. So technically, I come under the category of a caregiver. My wife is the one who is going through the treatment. So in both cases, I can definitely attest to the fact that if you are able to work on your mindset, whether you're doing it by yourself, whether you're doing it with the help of professional practitioners, people who are trained to be able to help you, it does make a difference. And this is, of course, many years ago, but I was also part of an organization that had an outreach program. So there would be, either patients or it could be family who would, let's say, invest in a program that took care of all these aspects, right? Whether it was their mindset, whether it was movement, of course, even the food that people eat, all of these add up at the end of the day. But I know that I can speak more from a space of mindset rather than, let's say diet or things like that, right? So I know that these are two tools when we talk about both hypnosis as well as NLP. And of course, in my case, I've blended it into something that I call iHypnosis, which is, in my opinion, like the best of both these frames, both these methodologies, both these tools. And so I use it extensively with my clients. I use it in my own life. I use it in helping my wife also deal with uh, the aches, the pains, things that come after the the cancer treatment. Because like you were talking about chemo, everybody has a different response or reaction to chemo. But there's also post treatment, which is sort of like, how do you manage yourself after that? So you're not seeing the doctor every other day or every other week or month for that matter, right? So you're doing a checkup once in maybe 6 months or once in a year. But in that interim, how do you manage yourself? That's the question. So we are, I know for a fact that it definitely makes that difference.
Yeah. So thank you so much. Because whenever I'm just listening, lots and lots of insights comes to my mind, because every time I get new aspects, because this is the reason I call you as an encyclopedia. And what exactly comes, the next question is, how does NLP helps cancer patients to reframe their mindset? When you speak
Mm,
about the mindset, that comes in my mind towards a more positive and hopeful outlook, because people suffering from AIDS, suffering from this type of things like cancer and tuberculosis. I saw different type of patients also, tuberculosis and cancer, because in my family there are somebody died for tuberculosis and cancer. Anyways, my father is a patient of cancer. So this, their mindset is that how long I will be there in the earth, on the
mm,
earth. So this is what in their mindset. So
correct.
in this case, how? Yeah.
Yeah, I think this is a very, very powerful question and a relevant question in that, um, especially when you talk about NLP or neuro linguistic programming, to a large extent, the words that we use, the the awareness of the words that we're using, that has a big impact on how you feel from day to day. So, a lot of times we tend to, and people going through this will sort of take the route of, there is no hope, right? Now, it's like you really don't know until you know. So medical science will tell you as much as it can, but there are always exceptions. There are always um, these chance moments where people do not succumb to the illness, right? And science still is finding it hard to explain. Why is it that so and so? So basically, the anomalies, right? So why is it that so and so did not pass away. We thought they would pass away in 6 months, and here they are still 3 years later, 5 years later, right? So a large part of this is the language that we use. So, as you said, reframing it, definitely the focus is on being aware of the words that we use, uh, how we how we refer to the illness. It's like the moment you do not make it part of your identity, which means the moment you are not saying, I am a cancer patient versus I am whoever I am, like your name, right? As long as you're making these kind of adjustments in the way that you speak, it definitely plays a role in your longevity. Because if you zoom out at one level, nobody knows when our time is up, right? That's the one thing that nobody knows. But um, you know, beyond that, um, especially when somebody has been diagnosed, it is useful to become more aware of the language that we use, and then, of course, to reframe it or change that language. Because when you change the language, you change the way you think. When you change the way you think, you change the way you feel, right? So if you're thinking more from a positive frame, then the feeling that you have is more positive. When you have more feeling, your physiology will also change. And so it's literally like it becomes its own, it's like a never ending cycle, right? So when someone says think happy thoughts, there is a lot of meaning in that.
Thank you so much, Rahul, because great insights people are getting. Because as much as we discuss, I know so much powerful discussions happens, and this patient specifically having this mindset problem, because not mindset problem, because when my father was diagnosed with first with the what is that, gallbladder cancer, right? And then when the operation happened, okay, still after that I can also understand the post, because he was a chain smoker. He didn't even, after that, he didn't even follow the proper lifestyle. And then again reoccur. And now it is affected on lung and pancreas. But still, that time also you helped me the process. This time also, it is a more advanced process, NLP and hypnosis, which is helping in reducing the size of that particular cells. So yeah, definitely hypnosis NLP helps in this. If you are in a proper guidance, for example, I will recommend you, because I am your student. Definitely, since I am under you, the practitioner you are, so you can help me out with this. And but I would suggest those people right now. I'm just thinking about that child, because she is in the hospital. She's undergoing certain treatment. Okay, where she is still fighting with her death and life. If she is surviving, that is her success, right? That is her story. So the mindset of the parents of a 12-year-old, because the parents are not able to understand, only they know their child, right? Anything happens, you can understand what will happen to them. So this is what the mindset, because do you think the parents of this age children have to what sort of a mindset they should have at this point? Yeah.
So there are two parts again, like you said. In certain instances, maybe the patient or the client is not, let's say the person who has been diagnosed, maybe they do not want to, um, let's say, work with somebody who will help them in the way, let's say work on their mindset, right? Maybe there's too much pain, and so they are not able to, um, or they don't want to focus on the mindset, right? In which case, then I would highly recommend that, especially if you are a caregiver, if you are the parent, seek help. Because a lot of times, and I've seen this especially when, working with parents, when they initially recommend their children, that they want their children to have, to experience that relief, but the child is not ready, right? So a lot of times the parent itself, or the parents, are more ready than the child, right? And even there, sometimes it's the father, sometimes it's the mother. The point being that, even if one person is willing to to work with a therapist or a practitioner in, let's say, changing their mindset, that in itself can make a huge difference, right? So it's when in doubt, like start wherever you are. So if you are the parent and you're seeking out help, and your spouse is not willing to, or doesn't see the need for, or the value of working on mindset, that's totally fine. If you see it, then start with you. And as you do this over a period of time, you will definitely notice a shift in the family dynamic, right? I'm not saying there's going to be some overnight changes, but definitely, you know, eh, especially when it's a dynamic like this, where you're talking about a child and you're talking about parents, sometimes just the parent may be ready to start. And I would say, start literally like start where you are.
Yes, yeah, that is very important. Which actually this also clicks in my mind when this my intention of creating these videos are simple to hear, which we are launching on your birthday on 13th.
Mm,
That is, we are here to hear, because this
mm,
is what the patience you were talking about, that God has forgot to give me, but you are creating on me, and the hearing part, that was also forget by God. Anyways, when he was preparing, he forgot about few things from my life. So this is what the patience, the space, the hearing. Okay, this is what the problem of the employees of the organization, because they are
mm,
feeling sometimes lonely, right? They don't have to express themselves. Yesterday I was listening to someone else also. She was talking about the anger. The people are becoming very angry nowadays because the work pressure and everything, and which is leading to metabolic disorder, that is
mm,
there, which creates a disorder in your metabolism and creating a lot of diabetes, PCOS,
mm,
PCOD, and even the thyroid and all those stuff, right? High blood
mm,
pressure. Now, the thing is, in this case, the stress management and everything, how
mm,
NLP and hypnosis can help them to create their mindset during the stress time, because
mm,
they are becoming very angry. And in this family, if something happens, even in
mm,
right now also, I become agitated with your something, right? Because this is going inside me in such a way that I'm not a parent, but still I can sense the parent's pain. I was
mm,
thinking, why not it happened to me instead? Why this 12-year-old is suffering? It should have happened to me, then the parents should have saved, because this 12-year-old parents. But this mindset is also like an abnormal thinking power, because whatever the karmas are, they will get it. But the
mm,
thing is, if we practically think about it, how to manage stress during this workplace,
mm,
when this type of in the family or in the friend circle, when they come to know about the cancer.
mm.
Yeah.
So, based on what you're talking about, what comes to mind immediately is something that is simple to do, something that can be replicated. In which case, I would definitely, start with the most basic, which is breath or breathing and stillness. Like these are two practices that can be practiced anywhere. These are two practices that are simple enough to do because the instructions are simple enough. When I say breathing, it literally is just being aware of your breathing. Like if you're getting agitated, you're just listening or sensing your breathing. Stillness, as the name suggests, is instead of pacing, instead of checking your phone or whatever, if you just sit literally for, even if it's initially for 30 seconds, right? If it helps, and maybe from a practical standpoint, put your timer on for 10 seconds or 30 seconds and just sit without moving. When you hear the timer, get up and carry on with whatever you're doing. Over a period of time, you'll find that you're able to sit in stillness for a minute, 2 minutes, 5 minutes. And as you do this, one, at some level, there is a lot of research that has been done on the impact of your parasympathetic or your sympathetic nervous system, right? So basically, you're able to actually calm yourself. And in the future, maybe not right away, but in the future, when something bad happens, when there is news of, especially when someone is ill in the family, and there will be sort of ups and downs in, it's like every time there's a change in their health status, it can create a ripple. But here, this practice will give you the ability to be more calm, to be less reactive. And with time, of course, like I said, like we were talking about earlier, for the person going through it, even for caregivers, when you are able to practice being more aware of the words that you're using and reframing it, making it more positive, it will, in the tiniest of ways, make a difference. Initially, it may not be very visible, but definitely breathing and stillness, it's like, as a practice, even if you do it for a week, for a month, for 6 months, this is preparing you for what is coming in the future. Whether that is the death of a loved one, whether that is, that, okay, maybe now for 6 months or 1 year, I don't have to see the doctor, but 1 year later I have to, because it is mandated that, there are these regular checkups that are done. So this practice will prepare you that tomorrow, even if something happens, you are prepared, you are ready. So I would say, in closing, these would be some very, very practical ways to practice. In the most basic sense, this is an altered state. So when we talk about hypnosis, when we talk about NLP, largely we are talking about changing our state, right? Changing, and in hypnosis we talk a lot about altered states. So these are practical ways in which you can actually alter your state. And just like any practice, when you practice it over and over again, you will be able to develop that ability to do it better with time.
Thank you so much. Yeah, and I'm also getting relieved because I can sense that when the parents will get to know about this, because they will also get some relief, and they can at least connect. My intention is to connect, because that's the reason we are opening here to here, where I would request you to be a part of that, where the employees, whoever feel like are lonely, and it's not only the employees, because we are focusing on the corporates, but still for everybody, those who are having this, please connect in that particular. We are initially starting a WhatsApp group, and then we will be, and some apps. Dr. Swarna is thinking for. So we will be slowly shifting in that too, so that we can hear. We are to hear your problem, your views, your is there. And the experts means like Rahul is there, like Dr. Swarna is there, Dr. Swati is there, and we have two more, because I'm planning to take Meenakshi's interview, who have already been Meenakshi Mehta, who is your better half, who means I'm planning for two more neurologists, okay, to support them fully. Because as much as they are supporting, we all are supporting them. They can open up their problems, they can get their uh, because as mentioned, Meenakshi Mehta, she wrote C for Courage, where she has spoke about her clearly, about how she has been diagnosed, and what is the after, post, and pre. She has already mentioned her whole thing. The link of C Courage will be there shortly in the description box. You can buy that book. And not only this, I also authored one book, where I spoke about you, dedicated to Rahul and to my mother, who was also, she's like a lioness. She was stood next to her husband, like nothing should happen to him. And the process, what I means that time, NLP and hypnosis, what techniques I use, whatever I learned from you, and what I used on her, everything is mentioned in that book. You can also purchase that book. Plus, this and another few books are coming. That is on your birthday. That is on 13th of January, dedicated to you. There's, as always, I learned a lot of things from you, as being your
13th of
mentee and
August, right?
your student. Always getting lots and lots of insights and changing myself. Transformation is happening not only in the point of view of the being a cancer patient doctor, but as a whole, because from my entire transformation happens through iHNLP practitioner program, which I am also telling you people to just to join and experience it. This is a transformation may happen. A short brief before you go, just because I know it's only 1 minute. Just speak about your mentor, Rahul, and Dr. Bandler, so that after this we are closing. Yeah, thank you.
So again, I will put it like this. It's really important when you're learning something to always seek out the best people who are um, who are living um, that practice that you want to learn. And so for me, as I was learning, I had a very, very powerful mentor by the name of, in fact, he was a retired Jesuit priest, Richard McHugh. And as it turns out, I figured out that he himself had been trained by Dr. Richard Bandler, who is the co-founder of NLP or Neuro Linguistic Programming. And so I, sought out Dr. Bandler, and of course, uh, part of that seeking out was to travel to the US. So I did that a couple of times since 2012, and I can definitely say that these experiences have shaped my perspective on being able to practice, being able to be not only a good student but also be a exemplar or somebody who professes what they're practicing and therefore teach that to their students. So I've been very fortunate to do that. And, as they say, picture to abhi baki hai. So we're just getting started. So thank you, listeners and viewers who've been following along, or if you happen to be watching this later. Wish you all the best on your journey, whether you are a caregiver or whether you're somebody who's right now dealing with the recovery. Wishing you all the best, and of course, Devasmita, wishing you the best for all that you're doing.
So much, yeah. I want this year to go to a higher level to the million people. Because my word always into million, because my life is totally dedicated for the people. So if they are coming, giving their thoughts, learning, and helping, even one can. Other thing is, like when we heard about Corona, that is one person can affect 2% to affect this way. This year to year can grow, and your iHNLP practitioner program also grow like that, because million people can get maximum benefit from you. So thank you so much.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yes.
All the best.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
That's all.
yes, we'll
Bye.
close the loop today, and we'll definitely meet with another show. So thank you so much,
Thank
Rahul.
you. Thank you.
Yeah. Bye.